Hey, greetings YouTube. If this is the first time seeing my videos, you might want to go watch a different video. I have a bit of a cold, I'm coming over, and so I'm all hyped up on Sudafed and Mucinex and all that good shit. So if you're wondering why my voice sounds like shit, that's why. So as you know, for about a month I've been using the Simplicity Freedom, and this is the older style, but it's still pretty valid in terms of, you know, what they are. And one thing I've noticed while using this is how much hair gets wrapped around the roller. Just about every other time I've cleaned the hair off the roller. So, and it's not so much pet hair, it is much more human hair. So we're going to just open this up, clean it up, and to clean the hair off the roller, you know, you could use a utility knife. I heard somebody saying they thought I should use a seam ripper. I don't know why you would use a seam ripper. I much prefer a pocket knife, but whenever available, a combat knife is always good. So we're going to clean the that hair off, and you can see this just works so much better than a seam ripper in terms of pulling the hair. And this you know, you got good leverage, you got good penetration if you want to clean up that brush roller. That's just going to work so much better than some little utility knife. Now, if you're in Britain, I highly recommend that you don't do this, because I don't know what's going on over there, but you guys have some sort of knife ban. But for the rest of us in the free world, a good combat knife is a good choice for cleaning the hair off the roller. So we're just going to pull the hair off the roller like so. And this roller actually comes out fairly easy, which is something I do like about this. Let's just show you how this comes clean. Let's pull this off. This roller actually is kind of dirty, so we're going to clean it up as well. And the chamber has gotten dirty. You can see all that hair that I just got off. So let's go ahead and vacuum the vacuum. And I wish they had lifetime belt models with a wooden brush roller. I think their wooden brush rollers are vastly superior to their steel brush rollers or their aluminum brush rollers, and you can see where the plastic tends to melt on here. And it was like this before I got it. So this happened with a vacuum collector who's very careful about his vacuums. So that's pretty much off there. But we have like some grease or some stuff on there. So I'm going to go ahead and clean that off with a rag. I'm going to just go ahead and wipe down the whole bottom plate as well. Now, I do have a review that I'm going to do on this machine. I'm going to get into some thorough details of things I liked, some things I didn't like, and some things that surprised me, but I am going to splice some of those clips in as well for Vacuum of the Month. Now, let's clean that off. I mean, that's pretty dirty. We're gonna go ahead and Scotch-Brite it. And if you don't have a Scotch-Brite pad, that's one of the most handy things out there. There we go. Now, that takes away some of that grease. Again, I'm not exactly sure where all that came from. You can see just what builds up on the base plate. And I showed this before we started. It wasn't the cleanest vacuum, but it sure has gotten very dirty in the month that I've used it. Now, I did go out of town for 4 days, but I don't think that has much to do with my results here. So when you put this in, I note the brush roller is eccentric, and if you have higher pile carpet, you want the flat end up. If you have lower pile carpet, you want the flat end down. Or if it's worn, the brush bristles are worn, you can put the flat end down. But because how high my carpet is, this is the way we want to do it. That just kind of goes on there like that. And I like how this thing all snaps together. They went to like some screws, and I I much prefer the snap together at that. So, as stated in the previous video, the particular collector who bought this machine new, he wanted something unique, so he actually got a fascia from when they were changing the colors in the mold. So that's why it's this color. Kind of cool. So let's take a look at the bag and see where that's at and how that turned out. I'm going to seal it up. See my handwriting on there. So really, I didn't get too much stuff. Now, I didn't vacuum my bare floors with this for reasons I think are pretty obvious. And I will say there's a bit of fluff on the top of the bag. That surprises me. Kind of, let's maybe shake it down. So we don't have too much in here. I think I got more with the cordless Henry, to be honest with you. Though I feel that this, in terms of carpet grooming, this is far better than a lot of machines. So that I would definitely give it some points for carpet grooming, and I would give it some points for being super lightweight. I think if we are giving this a Doug score, lightweight would be one of the categories along with maneuverability, because I think that that's something that's really underrated. And we saw that Oric made a career out of lightweight vacuums, so I will say that's something I really like about this vacuum. Now so I get a question a lot in the comments, and it's about how we remove these white and paint marks on a machine. And if you're a Patreon supporter, you already know this. But if you're not a Patreon supporter, go out and check out our Patreon page where I have a video that shows how to get marks off cleaners. Alright, I'm going to do a little Q&A. I'm going to read some comments. We're going to go through the Helver for Review section first this month, and I'm going to read some of the finer comments. One is that a certain person commented on a Kirby video explaining that electrical tape will be just fine. You shouldn't replace the rotting natural rubber cord. If you haven't seen that video, it's an older video. Always replace the cord whenever possible. If you see exposed copper, it's time to replace the cord. Or anytime a cord's more than like 10, 15 years old, I really recommend replacing it, especially on those old rubber cords. So that was held for review, and I'm kind of glad it was. I don't like misinformation out there. And the next was a comment on the Kirby Heritage versus the Avalier video. They kept talking about H2 HEPA. Well, there's like H12 HEPA, there's like H10 HEPA. I think there's like an H5, but I haven't heard of H2. And that machine is an H10 with a HEPA bag, so just to clarify that. And they mentioned the fan not being made of Kevlar, and I think I see in that video that they claim it's Kevlar reinforced, but I don't see any evidence that those fibers are Kevlar anytime I've really cut into those fans or seen them melted up. So I'd be curious to see what you guys say below in terms of Kevlar fans or not. One of course, Mr. Phil. Phil comments a lot on all sorts of things in the vacuum world, and Phil, you're an awesome dude. I wish you wouldn't use the anonymous picture. And you started commenting on how you thought that Kenmore had a sealed HEPA system. I've never seen a Kenmore machine that has a sealed HEPA system. Maybe there is one, but I sure haven't seen one over the years. So yeah. Another one was probably my bad on my part, was somebody commented that the Felix was not designed in the 90s, that it was launched in 2005. Well, that generally means it was probably designed in like 1998, 1999. It usually takes about 7 to 10 years to design a product. Not so much anymore back when that would have been made. So if you know exactly when the Cibo Felix hit the American market and it hit the European market, I would love for you to comment below. I'd love to hear from you on that one. Let's see. Oh, I read that. All right. Let's go to comments on published comments. Somebody asked what kind of oil I used. I talk about this a lot. I have Patreon videos where I show kind of shop supplies. So go check on that video if you want to know more information about it. I'll give you a hint. It's actually a kosher lubricant. Let's see. Somebody asked why I don't recommend the Kirby Heritage 1, and I would definitely say weight, maneuverability, that head, the way that's shaped, it's got this big Art Deco shaped head, and it doesn't use HEPA bags. You would have to convert it over to use HEPA bags, and most people aren't going to do that. Where the Heritage 2 comes with HEPA bags, so I don't. That's why. And one layer paper bags are really wrong. Not so good. Oh, another thing is I want to comment is I did a video at the VDTA about the air purifiers from Dyson. I'm not recommending them. I'm simply showing what's new there. A lot of times I'll type in review because that gets hits. So I'm not really trying to clickbait y'all, but just keep in mind there's not a current Dyson product that I recommend. So just always keep that in mind in terms of if you're seeing my videos. Oh, this one. I've seen this one from a few different people, and it's pretty good. And it's, they talk about how much rainbows are a hassle with the water and the weight and all that. And, I think rainbows are high-quality vacuums, but I don't think that they give you anything any other vacuum doesn't give you. They talk about why, because there's no smell coming from their vacuum. And we all know that a Miele with a charcoal filter or a HEPA filter isn't going to have an odor. Henrys don't have an odor for the most part. Most Simplicity Riccar machines don't have an odor. Most SIBOs never have an odor. Anytime I've seen an odor in a SIBO is somebody like vacuumed up like popcorn oil or something in the movie theater. You just don't. Most modern vacuums, the filtration's such that they're not going to get an odor. So I don't know where you would get that. Again, people like to comment on vacuums they haven't used, or like that, cause some people, they're just happy with it they bought, and there's nothing wrong with that. But, until you've used everything, or, you can't compare a $1,000 vacuum to a $50 vacuum, really, in terms of your expectations. So if you think all Walmart vacuums are shit, but, rainbows are great, the best one out there, well, you obviously haven't used all vacuums. Again, rainbows aren't bad, but they're definitely more of a collector item, in my opinion. Another thing I wanted to address was the Miele bagless machine, and Hooverlux mentioned this to me in a PM, and I was like, yeah, I don't actually like the Miele bagless setup. I think it's too bulky. I think if you have to have bagless, maybe it's a runner-up. I can't actually see a true purpose of having a bagless vacuum for really, I can't see any reason to have a bagless vacuum. So that's just me. I had another comment about rainbows, asking how to get a stuck separator off, and bring it to a vacuum shop. Don't fuck around with it. Bring it, or your authorized rainbow dealer. Don't mess around with that. That's a process in itself. I could do a whole video on getting seized rainbow parts off. Another person commented how to replace a fan in a sanitary, and that's the same answer. If that is complicated to you, you bring it to a vacuum shop. And pay the money. Pay the money for a professional to do it if you don't understand it. Always. Another comment I had was on some of my older videos. There's a lot of banging around, and that has to do with I had a small tripod that would be set up on my bench, and it would echo everything through the bench into the tripod, so it would exaggerate the camera, and I wasn't using a proper camera. I was using a action cam back in the day, and that action cam would shake around as soon as you threw down any sort of screwdriver, just like that, it would shake the whole camera violently. So it's actually not as bad as you think. Let's see. If there's anything. I keep getting comments asking for more repair videos. And I will always be doing repair videos, but at the end of the day, I get more views on review videos than I do repair videos. So until that changes, you're always going to see more review videos. But I do like doing repair videos, and I like putting that knowledge out there, and that's part of the purpose of this channel. So those are the user comments I thought that need to be addressed. I want to talk about Edge Clean with the Freedom / Riccar S10 / whatever else you want to call this lightweight platform that they've used over the years. Now, the reason I'm starting like this is I want to show you what the bottom side looks like. You have
no belt on this side, so in theory this should be the best edge cleaning. You do have this nice indent that should, again, help with edge cleaning, and then they have some nice indents on the belt side as well. Now the problem has been, we're gonna do this, if you guys can see right there, you can see that there is a bit of hair next to the dog kennel. When I turn this on, we're going to use it on high. I want you to check out the edge cleaning. So that was one pretty slow pass. And you can see there's a bit of hair there. Now if I put that hair in front of the vacuum, no problem. And again, there's no real difference. There's still a bunch of hair there on the edge. Now every other vacuum seems to have picked this up that I've done. Even the Kirby did. Now I'm just going to move the kennel a little bit. And we're going to go along the rest of the wall and have you kind of judge the other side as well. And again, the edge cleaning has a lot to be desired on this. So, yeah, edge cleaning, not so much. So I have my bed here, and like I've said before, not all power heads even get under this bed, but I feel a lot of people have a bed like this or items like this in their house, so again I want to show this. So the teeter-totter effect of the machine, give you an idea really how high that is. So if I'm trying to get under my bed, I simply cannot. But if I want to go under a surface like this, I can because it's shallow. So again, know your limitations of the machine. And I would have to say, before you buy this, you'd have to measure from this point here, which is, you know, bigger than a hand's length. I'd say it's at least a foot, whether or not this is going to work in your house. So another thing I've noticed about this machine is definitely the noise, and it's one of the reasons why our Patreon supporters helped us buy a good microphone a while ago. So we're going to turn the Miele on. Maybe. It's pretty quiet. We turn it up all the way. Still pretty quiet. We've also gathered a Kirby here. So if we turn the Kirby on, it's a little bit louder. Now let's turn the Simplicity on. That was the high speed, let's try the low speed. So pretty loud compared to some of the other vacuums, and the tone of this motor is particularly high-pitched.
Well, I wanted to give you some final thoughts on this vacuum here for Vacuum of the Month. I think, you know, traditional uprights are heavy and bulky, and I've always thought this. So I think if you have to have an upright and you don't want to go to a canister or a central vacuum, which I believe to be easier in every way, this definitely makes it easier and nicer to vacuum than a lot of uprights. It grooms the carpet pretty well, but definitely quality and maintenance could be a little bit better. We know it's going to be need maintenance every 1 to 2 years, and the quality of Simplicity and Riccar has always been in question, and especially now with some of the company turmoil. But if you can get a good deal on it, I'd consider it. But keep in mind you are going to have to buy a secondary vacuum. But it is a nice little portable machine. I don't really see any pros over an Oric, so if you get a better deal on an Oric, I would go for that personally. Especially considering that Oric is owned by a much bigger company and has more service centers right now. You might be wondering what's going to be Vacuum of the Month this month. Well, I'm going to hold a poll here in a day or two on Facebook, so go ahead and like our Facebook page and see what the options are going to be. Thanks for subscribing. Please check out our Patreon page for exclusive videos and content. Hit that thumbs up and have yourself a wonderful day.